Have you ever wondered about the last line of defense in the Roman military? Who were these brave men ready to fight to the bitter end? They were the Triarii, a crucial element of the early Roman manipular legions during the Republic era. These men were not just ordinary soldiers. They were the oldest, the wealthiest, and some might say the most formidable. Their wealth allowed them to acquire high-quality equipment, heavy metal armor, large shields and spears, setting them apart as elite soldiers within the legion. The Triaries' typical position was the third battle line, a place reserved for those with the courage and skill to serve as the final barrier between victory and defeat. Their reputation was such that an old Roman saying emerged: "It comes down to the Triarii," a testament to their decisive role in battle. As the saying goes, it comes down to the Triarii, indicating their pivotal role in the Roman army. But how did the Triarii come to be? Let's delve into their origins and evolution. The Triarii, these stalwarts of the Roman army, may have evolved from the first class of the Roman army under the rule of the Etruscan kings. This first class was made up of the richest soldiers, those who could afford high-quality equipment like spears, breastplates, and large shields, akin to the heavy Greek hoplites. They were used as heavy infantry, standing at the front of a mighty phalanx formation, a wall of shields and spears that was a formidable sight on any battlefield. However, as time passed, the Romans found themselves engaging with the Samnites and Gauls, adversaries who fought on the rough, hilly terrain of central Italy. This was a far cry from the flat plains, where the phalanx held the advantage. The Romans quickly recognized the inadequacy of the phalanx in these circumstances. It was rigid, unwieldy, and ill-suited to the uneven ground. This realization prompted a transformation in the Roman army. The Triarii, once the heavy infantry at the front line, were repositioned to the third line of defense. This change was not a demotion, but an adaptation to the demands of the battlefield. The Triarii retained their high-quality equipment and their status as elite soldiers, but their role shifted. No longer were they the first to meet the enemy. Instead, they became the reliable last line, the final bulwark if the enemy managed to withstand the initial waves of hastati and principes. This strategic evolution allowed the Romans to deploy their forces more flexibly and effectively. The Triarii could hold their ground, providing a steadfast anchor for the rest of the legion. Their placement in the third line also gave them a broader view of the battlefield, allowing them to respond to changing conditions and shore up any weaknesses in the Roman lines. Through their evolution, the Triarii became a crucial, adaptable force within the Roman military. They epitomized the Roman ability to learn, adapt, and improve, always striving for victory, no matter the odds. As the saying goes, it comes down to the Triarii, which meant carrying on to the bitter end. Now imagine a pitched battle. How would the Triarii, as part of the Roman legion, come into play? In the Roman legion, soldiers were meticulously arranged in a three-line formation. The youngest and least experienced, the hastati, formed the first line. Behind them stood the principes, soldiers in their prime, more experienced and heavily armed. And at the rear, the seasoned Triarii held the third line, a wall of warriors in heavy metal armor, large shields, and spears at the ready. This formation was not a mere arrangement of might, but a strategic design. Each line had a role to play, a part in the grand ballet of battle. The hastati, armed with javelins, would initiate the conflict, their task to break the enemy lines with their youthful vigor and the storm of their javelins. But if they failed, they would retreat, and the principes would step forward. The principes, older and more experienced, would then attempt to overwhelm the enemy. If they too failed to break the enemy, they would fall back, tactically withdrawing behind the final line of defense, the Triarii, and then the moment of truth. If the battle had come to the Triarii, it was a signal of desperation. But these were not men who buckled under pressure. These were the oldest, wealthiest, and most seasoned soldiers. They had seen battles won and lost, had watched men rise and fall. Now it was their turn to engage. With their heavy shields and long spears, they would meet the enemy, a formidable force standing their ground. In support, the leves, Triarii, and Accensi would rally. The leves, Javelin-armed skirmishers would continue to harass the enemy from the front, while the Triarii and Accensi, the reserves, would bolster any wavering areas of the line. Together, this machine of men would move, a wave of Roman resilience crashing against the enemy. Whether in victory or defeat, the Triarii were the ultimate symbol of Roman resilience and tenacity. So the Triarii were not just soldiers. They were a symbol of the Roman military's strength and adaptability. As the wealthiest and most experienced soldiers, they held the final line of defense in the Roman legion. Their evolution from the first class of the army under Etruscan kings to the elite force in the Camillan era showcases the Romans' ability to adapt their military strategies. These spear-wielding, heavily armored soldiers truly were the last resort in the heat of battle. Indeed, when it came to the Roman military, it truly did come down to the Triarii.